Here we are on another episode of Click Culture. Not yet.
There's only one thing that we love more than eating food with chopsticks, and that's photography.
Oh my goodness. We said not yet. You can't hold back, can you?
Oh, I just love the sushi. It's amazing.
So here we are on Click Culture. We try to bring the fun back to photography and a little bit of sushi on every single episode of Click Culture. But welcome to this week's episode. So what do we got going on this week?
So we thought this, we're leading into summertime.
Yep.
We thought this would be a good time to talk about traveling with gear and some of the do's and don'ts, or maybe the things
One of our nemesis in life, because how do you do it? Right?
Correct. And so just jumping right in, one of the first problems we have with air travel is if you're going to do it internationally, which you're getting ready to go to Africa, and I just came back from a trip, is there's weight limits. So the problem is most of your international flights, you've got to somehow between 15 and 20 pounds have to fit in your bag.
Most of them is 15. It's like if you go international on things like Emirates, so if you're flying to the Middle East, it's 15 pounds max.
Remember when they were weighing the one time at the gate, the second time?
It's the third time.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's 15 pounds max. Like that's all you can do. And it's one bag. It's not the bag and the little purse or briefcase.
Correct.
It's one bag. So yeah.
So here's the thing is just thinking through your gear, but really not just thinking through your gear, but thinking logically, because the reality is on most things we do, a 24 to 70 will cover everything.
Yeah.
You don't need to bring a 35 and a 50 and an 85 and all of these lenses when you can do it with a one single lens.
So packing light.
Packing very light. Huge. If you think you might not use it, leave it. Figure a way around it. So, and it's just simply because it's a reality of a weight limit.
Oh yeah, it's leave it back. We are. I think we're more guilty than anybody. Right?
Correct.
It's like how much can I stuff in? When I measure my bag, like for Africa, I'm going to push that 15 pounds, and I'm going. It's 14.
That's right.
999 ounce.
And don't let anybody know that we actually got an Emirates flight one time, and both of us wearing cargo pants. I could hardly walk. I had so many batteries.
You remember the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
Oompa Loompas. That's what you love.
That's what I love watching. So what's the second thing to think about?
You know what that is?
Yeah.
Batteries.
Just what we talked about.
So batteries, man, that's another big problem. So just so you know, if you're flying on an airplane, anything that is got removable batteries has to be removed from the thing. So a light, a flash, anything that's removable and brought on as a carry-on. Yeah. We just talked about weight limits, that kind of thing. That's a big problem because if you have lights, you've got a lot of batteries, they weigh a lot, they cannot go under the plane.
Yeah, and that's always my issue is I have so many batteries.
And that's where your Oompa Loompa came in. Is because you packed your pants with batteries.
Because I'm doing a lot of video work at the same time when I'm doing international travel. And so I've got drone batteries. I've got batteries for my video gear. I've got it for my camera. So
I'll tell you something. This is not, we didn't even talk about this, but it just popped into my head of battery issues. Batteries, you want to use a piece, so you can use the blue painter's tape or stickers, whatever, write down what that battery is on that piece of tape. Because as you're going through all the security, you want to make sure that they see, okay, it's a battery for a Westcott FJ400.
Okay.
It's a battery for a flash. It's this battery for my camera, because they can easily identify it that way.
You've had issues before with that where I've not seen that, but it's good.
On our Stella Pro lights, the batteries look like some kind of canister of,
they do.
Something military.
The new ones. That's correct. That's right. You tried to fly this.
So they pulled me over every single time. The other thing that's super, super important is if you have any kind of blowing mechanism to blow off your equipment. So
rocket blower,
one of the brands, rocket blower, it looks like a little hand grenade, right? So you got to be real careful because that, as it's going through the machine, will say shape of a hand grenade. It will get stopped.
And they're getting better at it, but they don't really like jokes when you make a joke about it either.
So I took a Sharpie and wrote on the thing that said lens cleaner.
Yeah.
Right. So that way it's done. So here's number 3. This is a biggie for me because I've destroyed 2 camera boxes.
And this one's not about like flying with gear. This is just traveling with gear.
You don't even have to be traveling. This could be gear at home.
It is, especially with this time of year.
A lot of us are coming up in the summertime, spring. There's still a lot of water around. Mosquitoes.
That's right.
I hate mosquitoes.
Yeah, you get bit like crazy.
I do.
And so insect repellent.
If you're a mosquito guy like I am, insect repellent is super dangerous to your camera gear or anything that you touch that's plastic or rubber.
Yep.
It corrodes instantly the gluing surface of that rubber. So it will start peeling off. You cannot re-glue it. It constantly.
And we had this conversation. You said it was the DEET. It is the biggest one.
Yeah.
If it's got DEET in it, just know you're going to lose the rubbers on your camera.
So we have some really good bug spray that does not affect the cameras. We'll put the links down below, but there's a couple brands that make this spray. Same thing with suntan lotions. Super dangerous. So if you are applying that stuff, like either use the spray, just be careful that it's not on your hands, or use rubber gloves, right, and put it on. But you got to make sure that you super thoroughly wash your hands. I mean, not just like wash them. I mean, like scrub them.
Yeah, I think of this with sunscreen is you think about how do you remove like old stickers? You use WD-40. And that's the same thing. That oil, that fine oil finds its way and it removes the adhesives.
So please be very, very careful. A lot of us have newer gear. It's a pain.
Yeah. Your last trip to Central America, I think it was, you ended up having to send your gear all back to Nikon to have new rubbers put on.
Yeah. And
they literally fell off the next week.
And I could not get it and finally be secure. But yeah, bug spray, suntan lotion, careful.
All right. I've got one.
Yes.
That I love these things. I think I'm slowly making you a believer. But
you were so excited about these.
They were. So Think Tank makes these cable management bags. Yeah. Everybody makes them, but I love just some of the features that they have on theirs. They've got zippers on, the top and on its own side on the back with individual areas to store things. But it's not so much about like showing you these particular ones, but it's getting bags like this to separate your gear. Yeah. There is nothing worse than, there's worse things, I guess, but when you go in the middle of a flight and you need something out of your camera bag and it's not in compartments, it just gets jumbled together. One of us is always getting our bags checked, right? Yep. Like somebody's in security is going, we need to look this. And they go through it and then they go, here's your bag back. And now the batteries are over here.
I can find they're clear on the top, right? So
and they're clear.
You can see.
So I've got one. I've got a bag here that's got like my little microphones. It's got my my pocket Osmo. And then, I've got one that's got my lens cleaner and my chapstick. That's right. I could put extra money in
Batteries.
there. I have a battery one.
You got extra money?
Yeah, no, I don't. I have kids.
That's right.
But these bags are great. And if you'll notice on the zippers here, they don't come like this, but they actually give you these little red bungees. I stick them on my zippers because it not only makes it easier, but you ever get where you get things that are tangled up and you want to make
they can wrap around cables?
You can wrap around cables, tighten them up. They have the little bungees so you can tighten things down. They just come in, a lot of times you need to hook something to your backpack when you're traveling. So that's why I say look at the Think Tank cable management bags. They come in a number of sizes. I think there's another big size to this one. But man, those things will keep things from just going everywhere in your bags.
These ones are the best bags that I've seen for that type of cable management. So here's the last one, number 5. Choose the right bag.
Yes.
So we started out this conversation talking about weight limits and stuffing as much as we can in the bag. So let me just pull this up here.
I'm going to get off the stool here for a sec.
So this is my normal camera bag, right? We had showed it a few episodes ago. It's the First Light 35-liter bag. Holds all kinds.
So I just came back from Costa Rica, and that's the bag that I took. I chose this large bag. It still fits in the overhead compartment on my Southwest flight to Costa Rica, but I needed that big one because I was going there to do video. So I had to bring a drone. So I had to have the batteries for the drone. I was also doing photographs, so I had to do that. I was going to print, so the printer has batteries. My cameras have batteries. The video cameras have batteries. I had so many batteries.
So I can't bring that. So I'm flying on Emirates Airlines over to Africa. So
I have a trip coming up.
Found what I think is the perfect travel bag. So this is a shoulder bag. This is also made by Think Tank. It's the retrospective version 2 shoulder bag.
Yep.
This thing weighs 2.3 pounds by itself. So the bag itself is really light. That's the problem.
You made me a believer with this bag.
With these bags.
When you ordered it, I was questioning, is that the right thing?
Yes. So here's the thing. So I'm going to do a bunch of training on photography and actually, believe it or not, I'm doing some video training.
Nice.
Isn't that surprising? Yeah. You're like, yes. So I need to bring my MacBook Pro here, right? My 16-inch MacBook Pro. I need a bag that can fit some camera gear, all under 15 pounds. This does it at 14.99 pounds. So within this bag, I put my computer here. I put my body and my 24-70. So my Nikon Z8 24-70, my 85, my Westcott FJ80 flash.
Your cable management bags fit in there nicely.
They fit in really nice. So just awesome. Here's the key. So when you're traveling internationally to some of these countries that security can be a challenge, this does not look very camera bag-ish, right?
Yeah.
So I can carry this through the airport. I can carry this out on the street. It doesn't scream, hey, he's got all his camera gear in there. Let's pick him off. But this thing holds an amazing amount of gear. I love it. So, we'll do actually a full review on this bag, but I like that it's got this extra flap so you can close it.
Yep.
So
you can zipper it shut.
Or this thing actually folds back on itself so you can keep the bag open. It's just really, really cool. It's a great bag if you're a wedding shooter too. So what a killer bag.
Right.
So this thing will actually work completely airport compliant. The big bag that we both have, that one I just showed, that thing actually is TSA compliant for overhead bins.
It is, yeah.
And it will in a pinch.
And it is, yeah, and it is the deepest backpack I've ever owned, which is really nice because not only will my camera sit in there, I can stick more stuff in there, but it's not just gear. Sometimes it's a lightweight jacket. So when you're flying and it gets cold, you got a jacket in there because I try not to carry a roller through the airport, especially when I'm traveling where I know I'm going to switch multiple planes. Yep. I want to put my big check bag on and not worry about it till my location. And that way, I don't have two things running to it.
So I'm looking forward to bringing that and giving it a really good run through for Africa. But I think it's going to work great. Yeah. It's going to work great. So I would love if you guys here that are watching this would do this for us. If you can think of other things that you think is important for photographers when they're traveling. And again, it doesn't have to be big international trips, but just when you're out on the road, on location, what do you bring with you? How do you store it? What are some safety tips? What are some precautions? Any of that kind of stuff. Or what's just some fun gear that you bring out there? We always love to hear about that. But we come up with some great ideas from you guys, the viewers, of what you do.
So you're ready to go out and start shooting?
Let's shoot something.
Okay. So you know what? One of the things that we hear a lot from people is they always talk about, well, you guys have so much gear. You guys can create all this great light. But guess what? You guys can create light in your own house.
Yep.
And so not only are we going to go show you how you can create great light at home, but we want to talk today about directional light.
Let's do it.
All right, so welcome to my house. Remember, we said we were going to show you a simple way to light that looks great. Can't be any easier than this. Inside the garage, that's all you need. You don't even need anything fancy. All you need to do is lift up the garage door and you've got yourself a incredible studio. Come on, let's check it out. All right, so over the years, one of my favorite ways of photographing portraits has been using what I call tunnel light. So a lot of times I've gone to overpasses or bridges where I don't have light coming down, I have light directionally coming in. This time, I just rolled up the garage door and I have beautiful tunnel light that I can use on my subject. So I want to show you how you can make dramatic photos basically for no cost. You can hang a bed sheet behind your subject, or I'm telling you, the Westcott X-Drop Pro is what you need. These things are very inexpensive, and they're the easiest way to hang a backdrop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Dan today as my subject. Dan, why don't you step back till you're about 3 feet from the backdrop there. Actually, get a little closer to the backdrop. So right there, this isn't necessarily how I would do it, but I just want to show you some differences, what you can do. So Dan's pretty deep into the garage, about 10 feet. This actually makes very consistent light with my backdrop. So the exposure on Dan and the exposure on the backdrop are very similar. But if I want to darken that backdrop, all I have to do is have Dan come forward. Dan, why don't you come till you're about 2 or 3 feet from just right to the outside of the garage there. And now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to slow my shutter speed down to match that. But because I'm slowing down the shutter speed and darkening my aperture or my exposure, Dan's going to stay the same, but I've darkened that background. So now I've gone from a very light background to a darker backdrop that I really like. So that's step one. Beautiful light. It works on anybody. But I'll tell you what, I love more of a dramatic look. So what I did is I have my just regular X-Drop set up over here. I'm just going to have Dan, you're going to come stand. And I'm just going to shoot you straight on. So this is more of a split light at this point. And so It's quite a bit darker again, so I'm going to go ahead and slow my shutter speed down. And if you like a little bit more drama in your images, check out how beautiful the light is there. This looks great. But my style a little bit more, I want my not to be so much of a split light, so I'm just going to angle over. I could switch my backdrops if I wanted to, but I think I'm just going to shoot them into the corner here. And check out how great this is going to look. 1, 2, and 3. Dan, I want you looking out towards the outside of the garage there. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. Now I've got beautiful light that I've created. It looks like studio light inside my garage. Remember, directional light is going to change how dramatic you want your picture to look. If you like it flat, go for it. If you want to make a more dramatic image, just turn your subject a little bit. This is one way to make great portraits on the cheap. Hey, so now it's time where we talk about stuff we love.
We got to come up with a good jingle for the stuff we love.
That's right. But today, what is something that
I still have sushi.
I know,
Man.
So what's something that not do we like, but stuff we love? Today is something we love. Like every workshop, every time we get around a photographer, we love this item. And that is the spider holster.
Yes. You sound like a spider holster shill at this point, but man, we love this thing. Like yeah, okay, I'm going to say, I'm going to look directly at you. This will change your life.
It will.
Because it changed my life. And I know for you it did.
When I forget this, and I forget lots of stuff, but when I forget my spider holster, it's a bad day.
Okay.
I don't know what to do without that spider holster.
Let's rewind and back up.
Okay.
Just a real quick second. Why is this stuff we love? You told me 6 years ago now, you said, hey, we're here at WPPI. I got to check out this spider holster thing. And I said, that is the stupidest thing in the world. So I used the
You said that was the second stupidest thing. There was one that you hang it on your chest.
Yes, that is the stupidest one. But I said, that's dumb. I said, that thing's going to pull down my pants. I looked different back then, right? I was shaped a little different.
And I kept saying, I want to try it. I want to see what it's
about. I said, you go ahead. Yeah. I'm not going to look stupid. Okay.
I tried it. I put it on, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. And while you were talking to me, the owner of the company, Shy, he came up behind you, and this guy,
like a wizard,
he just like all of a sudden went, hey, click. And you had one on. You were like,
I don't know how he did it. The only time I've seen somebody do something like that to me was in India when that guy came up and he slipped something up.
He slipped that bracelet on you and then one.
Which I don't even know how he did that. But this, Shy comes up and he's like, boom, like, whoa.
Yeah. And then he handed you like a dummy camera.
Yeah.
And he said, it goes this way with your lens to the back. And you stuck that on there and you kind of did like the hula dance. And both of us were like, hey.
You should have seen us swivel.
You're just like, this is not holding my pants down. Like, because the first thought is, it's a belt, and it's going to hook on my pants or my belt, and it's going to have weight.
Yeah, so here's the amazing thing. So I've got mine on right now, right? I got my camera on it. But this thing, the weight sits on my hip, right? It's not around my waist.
That's right.
So that's the mistake that some people make. Is you put it up here on your waist, it starts to slide down, and then it'll pull down your pants, right? Because whatever's hanging on your pants, whether it's a belt or if you don't have a belt on. But this, putting the weight distribution right on my hip, it doesn't slide.
Yep.
It also doesn't feel like I have anything on. It sounds kind of weird, but any kind of weight on my.
So that's number one. People go, it's going to pull down my pants. It's not going to do that. You wear it right. The next thing is people go, yeah, but I'm afraid my camera's going to fall off. Right? The way it works is there's a pin on the bottom of your camera. Your camera actually has to be twisted up in order for it to come out. And then even if you're somebody that you're like, yeah, I still don't trust that. There's a little switch on the side that I can clip it down, and now it's locked. I cannot take it out unless I lift that switch up to let it go.
After we got these things 6 years ago, we actually did the hula contest, you and I.
Correct.
Right? And we're like, let's see if we can get this thing to come out. So we swiveled this thing and then we're hulaing. And then I decided I'm going to jump up and down, right? So like we were hopping and I was jumping.
Where that camera was lifting, never came out.
Never came out. I actually was a little nervous, but it did not come out.
I wouldn't suggest you jump in the thing because it didn't fall out for Steve. But I don't want somebody to come back and go, you told me I could jump.
Mark will pay for your gear. It does.
But yeah, you can lock it. So if you're worried about that, and there are times even when we get in a crowd that you kind of feel like, oh, somebody could take this from me. I'm going to lock it down.
Yes.
That's about the only time I lock it.
Yep. So that thing, man, it's the best thing since sliced bread. Now, I have you've got the single.
The single.
And I actually have my single on right now.
Yeah.
But
We both have doubles.
we have doubles. And the double is a great thing if you're a wedding shooter or a two-body shooter.
Yeah.
So weddings, I always shoot with two bodies.
So we're getting ready to shoot a wedding. And so next week, you and I are going to each be wearing two
Yep.
cameras.
Yep. So, we put the bodies, one body in one body in the other, 7200, 24-70, boom, perfect wedding set. It's so nice because even if I'm changing lenses, I can just keep it hooked in. It just works great. So,
And there's a lot of accessories that go with it. So there's bags if you want a lens bag. I actually have an adapter for my little tiny video camera where a lot of times I'll wear my double because I'll hang my video camera off one side and my camera on the other. So very versatile, lots of extras. And again, if you hate straps like we've hated our whole life, and a lot of times, again, you were saying the R strap, we thought, oh, we have found the answer, but it still would get in the way. And if I ever stuck it on a tripod, now I've got to wrap this strap up.
let me say one, speaking of tripods. So my tripod that I use is a Suray tripod. It has the Arca Swiss head on it.
Yes.
So the base of the mount the
plate that goes on the bottom
that slips into this groove here is an Arca Swiss mount. It's already got the plate built in. So I never have to take off my spider plate
No,
to use my tripod.
exactly.
Beautiful stuff. We love spider holster.
We have a link down below if you want to get a discount on spider holsters.
Yes.
This is a product that we love.
Love it.
Fortunate questions.
I love Fortunate Question time. Why? Because we get more sushi and we get delicious fortune cookies.
I think this week it's your turn to open the fortune cookie and find out.
Let's see how fortunate we are.
And we get. Wait,
It says cooperation will work better. Oh, let's see.
I don't think that's a question.
No, that's not. But you just said that.
You've got a double.
I do. Why was that in there?
I don't know, but what's
It
this?
was a double. All right. And the questions are always longer than the fortune. It's kind of funny. So it
Who's that
says it's from Dave in Dallas.
Ooh, Dave is
In Dallas, Texas. Dave? Yeah, Dave. Time for fortune cookie. Do you have a go-to pose to start a session? Of course I do.
Yeah,
Session
it's like this. I lift my camera up and I say,
I assume he's asking for the subject that you're shooting and not my go-to pose.
yeah, I imagine. So that's what we hear a lot when we're having people in our workshops. They're always like,
You go for it. I'm not
I
enjoying
just
another
don't
piece
know
here.
how to start. Like,
Well, boy, it's not as hot as the first one.
I know, but now I got to sit and watch you eat that without, how much self-control that I have or don't have. But no, so yes, I have a go-to. And I always sometimes feel like, dude, I need to think up something different. Here's what's funny. Remember the other day I sent you something and I went, hey, guess what? Jerry Jahodis has the same go-to pose that I have. And it made me feel pretty good of like, if Jerry's got that pose, that's the right pose to go with. So yeah, my go-to pose, I think both of us kind of use that same pose, is I'm going to take my subject. And granted, I'm thinking right now in my head, I'm thinking of a female just because it's not that we purposely go out and shoot more. Women tend to like to stand in front of our camera more than it's hard to find a good male model for our workshops. So what happens is I'm going to have them point their feet opposite away from my light at probably a 40-degree angle. So I'm just going to have them angle away. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have that front foot, the closest foot to the camera, I'm going to have her swivel it and put it pointed right at the camera.
Yep.
Then she's going to take her knee and she's going to cross it over the other knee. Then I'm going to either put both hands.
Mine, I'm just seeing this twisted.
Yeah. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have them bring either one hand up or both hands up on the hips. I'm going to try to find the smallest point of their waist, and which is usually just right above the hips. And then I'm going to have them turn their nose back towards the light. And that's what's going to be my starting pose. And what's nice, it's that foundational pose that I think works really well, because from there, we do those traditional things where it can be both hands on the waist, and you can drop one hand, you can start bringing a hand up, you can start crossing arms, and it works really well. And like I said, most of the time, I think just even from that question, do you have a go-to starting pose? Because once we break the ice, it kind of flows together on its own.
Dave, I think what Mark just said was super important. You talked about the foundation of posing, right? I think you need to have a go-to pose and at least 4 other options. You have 5 total, right, of what you can work through as starting points. But you usually have one that's a go-to. But your foundation pose, which is what Mark just talked about, that one you can deviate from in probably 30 different directions.
You can.
So if you take your 5 times 30, you've got a lot of poses you can do because you can deviate from each one of those about 30 times. So it's a lot. It's 150 different poses that you could come up with just 5. Basically.
Yeah, so it's not really magic. It's just don't put the pressure on yourself to think, I've got to learn 150 poses or even 30 poses.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Like what happens every time? Every time we're out there shooting, especially if we're shooting with someone we haven't shot with before.
Yeah.
You go, stand there. Okay, now what do I do with my arms, right? They always ask me, what do I do with my arms?
And if posing's not your forte, learn one pose. Learn this pose that we showed you. And then guess what? The next time you go out, try to do 2 poses. And the next time, try to add a 3rd pose. The next time, don't add another one. Stick with those 3.
And if you can't get those, quit.
That's right.
Just leave photography altogether. Keep trying.
Yeah. So don't put the pressure on yourself. Have fun. Enjoy yourself doing this because, again, we always say, when you start struggling, photography is no longer fun and photography is supposed to be fun.
So, hey, if you out there have another like go-to pose for Dave, put it in the comments below. I know Dave would love to hear it. I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for new ideas and everybody else is too. So that's how photography works. We all steal each other's ideas and go from there. But
that's right.
Dave, great question. Great question. All right. Another great episode.
I'm loving these shows.
Yeah, I hope you are. Okay, let's see if it's as spicy as my bite there. Yes? So, hey, thanks for joining us today. If you... Was it? Yeah.
A little bit.
Maybe I should just sit here and stare at you.
Woo, my eyes are watering.
That one hit me. So thanks for watching today. If you guys have any questions, hit us up in the comments below. Love to hear from you guys. I love the communication. The community that we're trying to build here in the photography industry is so much fun. So much fun. So, hey, make sure you also check out in the notes below. We've got links to everything we talked about, some more information about what we talked about, but just having a great time. Hopefully you enjoyed it too, but I think we want to make sure that you get out there and shoot. And don't forget, don't be lazy.
That's right. Don't be lazy. Eat sushi.
Eat sushi.